Underground radio.
What does it mean to be underground? It means you gotta be free to be underground. Yo, you got your own key when you're underground. Radio. If you're listening to me, yo, you underground.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Connected with Cari. This is our season 12 finale because I went back to my recordings and my videos and everything going on, and I had realized I've been doing season 12 since January. So it has been a very long season. I remember saying that just the other day with Preeti that was on. She's such a cool little person, little guest, and giving us information about business. It was so cool. But yeah, so we were discussing a little bit about my season 12, and I'm like, I feel like it's been going on so long. So the other day I looked back and I was like, yeah, it's been since January. So this is the closing of season 12. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We are live through JessTV, JessFM, the Underground Radio C platform as well. We are also live through the NCG television network in Italy. So good morning over in Italy, because I know it is very, very early morning. It's like 2 a.m. for you over there. So thank you for coming in and grabbing your coffees and joining us and then going back to bed. That's all I ask. Just a quick up, enjoy the show, and then crawl back to bed. That's good for me. We're also live through the ROKU TV station, 101. So if you go to your ROKU TV, you can go down, look for the app. It's called 101. Download that, and you can see our beautiful faces on the big screen TV. It's just like a movie theater. Oh. So when you go there as well, the wonderful thing about JessTV and JessFM is that not only do our creatives do our shows there, doing our radio shows, we also have, excuse me, my goodness, so much going on. We also, I can't just say it at once. It's just blah, blah, blah. So forgive me. We also do movies during the week as well, which are not just, old school movies, but we actually have new movies that do play as well. So it's kind of fun to be able to play it during the day while you're doing dishes or doing things at home. You can play a movie and or in the evening, grab some popcorn, watch those movies. It's a lot of fun. Speaking of going into the evening time, my guest this evening is kind of familiar with the evening practices of what we call sleep. So without further ado, I welcome my sleep specialist, Johann Callaghan. Welcome to Connect with Cari. I hope you've had a recently good sleep.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cari. I'm thrilled to be here today and talk about a topic that is very dear to my heart, sleep and recovery, and how to get the best out of life and business when you invest in your sleep. So thank you.
You're welcome. So before we get into your specialty, I'm going to have you basically give an introduction of who you are, other than sleep, kind of what else you sort of do. I think that's really important because as a lot of people do, they will see posters on social media and they will scroll and not necessarily read my little bios that I stick up there. So I think it's very important for my guests to come on and be able to speak for themselves of who they are, because sometimes I may miss something that's important that you want to share. So please take it away with your wonderful, beautiful self.
Thanks, Cari. Yeah, so I'm Johann Callaghan and I'm all the way from Ireland across the water. And I love nothing more than helping leaders and high performers, high performing professionals to use sleep as their greatest asset. And what do I mean by that? Well, to have better energy, sharper focus. We all want to have that mental clarity to help professionals have that sustainable success as well. And I do this all through my methodology, my framework called the Sleep Success System. It's a 5-step process we can talk about. We're obviously going to talk about a few of those elements in there, some of my methods and how we do that. But you know what? It's not just about sleeping at nighttime and what you do before you go to bed. It's everything from your mindset, your view of life, what you're doing during the daytime. So we'll dive into all that. But I am an international speaker. I am a best-selling author. I'm a certified health coach, sleep science coach, all those things. I've appeared a lot on TV, ROKU TV, and all the things. I have my own podcast called Empowering Family Health. I am in the process of creating a brand new podcast at the moment called The Rested Edge. So really specifically looking at high performers. And I've loads of nominations, and I'm award-winning entrepreneur. I'm in the Professional Speaking Association just to help me to communicate better, because, you know, as a business owner, whether you're a speaker or not, we have to learn the art of communication. So that's very important in my life. And I've been studying sleep science and neuroscience and health for the last 15 plus years. I've also wrote a book called How to Get a Good Night's Sleep as well, and that's a best-selling book, and I'm part of anthology books as well, more coming out soon. So that's a little bit about me, Cari. So yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome. She just does a little bit of all the things. A little bit of all the things. How did you, I just want to know, and just like probably the audience out there, how does one start this study of sleep? I mean, we all like sleep and it's very important to us, but what was that kind of the aha moment where you're like, you know what, I really love sleep and I want to study sleep? Take us through that.
Yeah, and I do love my sleep. Oh my goodness. It's so funny, actually, when you said that, it reminded me when my daughter was younger. I used to say to her when we were going to bed at night, I used to say, guess what? And she'd say, what, mommy? And I'd say, I love my sleep. And I'd say it as a mantra every single night, and really fell in love with my sleep. And that's what I encourage, and that's what I help people to do, is to fall in love with your sleep again, because, you know, it's that relationship that we have with sleep. You know, when we talk about relationships, it's how we relate to a thing, a person, an event, and how we relate to sleep is very important. So what I say is, you know, it's very important to know what your values are, because when you value something, guess what? You're going to prioritize it. You're going to put it on the top of your priority ladder. So for me, I discovered that sleep was really important and of value to me when I worked in corporate. I was in corporate for 17 years. And I was really good at my job, really good at my job. So good, I kept getting loads of work to do. And I was a single mother at the time. So single mother, having all the responsibilities of rearing a child on your own. I also recently, at the time, just bought a brand new house. So with all the financial obligations as well, and the worries on, you know, making sure that I was getting paid every month and all of that. So I was getting more and more work. And I was always trying to prove myself. You know, and I think women can relate to that, because that's kind of part of the societal generational stuff. You know, the women always having to try and prove themselves and be acknowledged and seen and heard and all this kind of thing. And that's what I discovered I was doing in my job. And through the process, I got burnt out, and it happened many times, actually. And it's a big, long story, but ultimately this journey of been burnt out and, you know, being the single mother and all that, I was contending with lots of different things. And I realized that I was killing myself to please other people, ultimately. And I didn't have to. I was good at my job. And when I left that job, I knew it was killing me, literally. And I didn't know what I was going to go into, but I knew the best decision was to leave that job. Something else would open up. And it did. And I started learning all the holistic things and self-development and all about myself, and, you know, how to recuperate and recover. And I started off as an entrepreneur, and I didn't want to work for other people. I didn't want to be told what to do, you know, and this working 9 to 5, because I could never understand this thing. And sometimes we have to work 9 to 5, you know, and have that the job. But for me, answering to other people and being told what to do and not having a choice, and it just didn't work for me. And they say 80% of people are not happy in their jobs, you know, so that's saying something. So to be my own boss really aligned with me. But you're a master of all the little things, yeah, and you've got to learn all the things. It's a very exciting journey, but it's not easy, and it can be very empowering as well. And most entrepreneurs are on a journey of helping other people and solving problems in the world and wanting to make an impact in the world. And for me, my mentor at the time, when I hired a mentor, he told me to write a book. And I did not know what to write a book about. I thought only famous people wrote books, you know. And I said, oh, well, I have massage clients coming to me because I was doing the massage therapies at the time I trained in that. And they're all coming to me tired and exhausted. And I connected all the dots from my previous background. And I said, my God, there's so many people in the world that are tired, they're exhausted, they're fed up, they don't feel fulfilled. So I wrote the book on sleep. When I wrote the book on sleep and all the research that I did tons of research. I discovered so much more about sleep. It just expanded my curiosity of how we can use sleep to become better people, to access our higher resources, to show up fully in the world. And my journey is still continuing through that process. I'm still learning. And now I'm working with professionals, because professionals, especially high-driven professionals, because you know, an awful lot of them are trying to prove themselves in the world, to be acknowledged. They want to make an impact in the world. They want to make a difference in the world, because for the most part, they've come from a background of an adversity of some sort that they don't want other people to experience. That's kind of typically, you know, what a lot of entrepreneurs have. And so what I want to do, my mission is to help people to show up fully, minding their energy so that they can show up fully, access all their resources, their ability to plan, to think, to innovate, to make decisions. And what's the one thing every good leader is good at is making a good decision. So you need to have the executive function working optimally and online fully. Now, a tired brain, you're not going to get that. So my work evolves around helping leaders and professionals to really show up fully, using all the resources, using sleep as their greatest asset. So sleep and recovery as part of that process. And it really, really works.
That is so good and so important. I know even just when we have a broken sleep, or just maybe half an hour less, or I mean, worse is an hour less, but you wake up and you're just like, you're ready to take someone's eye out, because we are not fully rested. We are, you know, just like, and for myself, I'm not truly a morning person. However, you know, I know that there's a process of like a gentle wake up and to make sure I've got, you know, that I've got enough time for sleep, because usually I'm more of a night owl, but I try not to stay up too late, give myself at least 7 or 8 hours of rest. So it's, you know, to me, sleep is very important. However, my brain won't shut off because I'm just like, go, 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 go. So speaking of brains not shutting off, what is something that you have found, obviously, because professionals, we need to wake up and be sharp and witty for the whole entire day, you know, being witty for shows. So take us through, like, how does one really shut down and get ready for that evening process?
Such a great question, Cari. You know, I think when we understand that, you know, we're not, you know, we think ourselves as machines, right? But it's really about biology and rhythms. And we're creatures of rhythms. We always have been. You know, if we go back to the times when we were in caves, we operate in rhythms. We got up when the sun came up. We went to bed when the sun went down. Simple as. And we've operated in these rhythms all the time. So every single cell in our body, right down to the cell, operates in rhythms. Just timings for everything. We have this circadian clock. You know, there's a time for the hormones to operate fully, even all our organs, right? There's this Chinese body clock, you can look it up online, and there's like a 2-hour optimal window for each of our organs to operate fully. Like our liver is between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when it's detoxifying. So those times when we're sleeping is really, really important. That's when we're doing most of our deep sleep. Deep sleep is where all the cleansing happens. That's what our liver is doing. And so even our brain waves, right? Our brain waves fluctuate all the time. You were talking about waking up in the morning. Sometimes it takes us, it's slow to wake up in the morning. So we have this wind up, if you like, to come back online where our brain waves are high and fully functional. All the blood flow going to the head, right? There's a timing sequence for all of that, right? In the afternoon, the blood flow goes down into the stomach for digestion, to prepare for digestion, because that's when we're eating our biggest meal. At least that's what we did, years and years ago. Now we're kind of eating all the time because we just have food readily available to us all the time. We were never meant to eat at nighttime, right? That's why our digestion is not good at nighttime. That's why for the night shift workers, it's not good to eat heavy meals at nighttime. So some things that we can do, Cari, and to help our brain work more optimally is to be aware of our biology. And I recently, actually just today there, I wrote, I have a newsletter called The Sleep Advantage on LinkedIn. And I wrote there about the 15-minute reset that you can do. And ideally do this first thing in the morning, because we need to set the day up first thing in the morning, because it creates a momentum for the whole day. And I do this in the sleep success system. I have a whole section on this about momentum. And this is what helps us to have sustainable energy. So this 15-minute priority reset, some of the things that we can do is ask ourselves, what is the top priority that I want to achieve today? It's really all about creating an intention. But we have to get into the right state, because I talk about capacity, right? And our capacity is like our bandwidth, right? It's what we have available in our resources kit, right? And our capacity expands, right, when we are in the right state. So we need to be, if you're all brain fog and all too many things going on, too many tabs open, right? You're distracted, you're not focused, laser focused. So this 15-minute reset is identifying the top 3 things that you absolutely need to get done today, your priority list. And it's also getting into the right state, first of all, initially. So just doing some breathing, some meditation, some walking, whatever it is that you like to do to help you to wind up, to come online for the day. Wake up slowly. Don't wake up hitting the ground running the minute you get out of bed. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for our biology. So knowing how your rhythms work, and we can do this 15-minute reset even during the daytime, because our workflow can get interrupted. We can have somebody request something from us urgently during the day, and we often would respond to them, right? So we're responding to other people. We're effectively giving our power away, if you like. And we can do that. We can help. That's our need. We can help people, but as long as there's a balance, as long as we're filling our cup up as well. So sometimes we can get derailed and distracted. There's so much information out there and red shiny balls. So doing this 15-minute priority reset, even during the daytime, will help you come back online again and get centered and focused. But initially getting into the right state, because your capacity expands when you are in the right state. And this helps us to sustain our energy throughout the daytime as well. So there are some things that you can do to help you to have sustainable energy and start your day off well, create that momentum. Because now when you set your day up intentionally, you can come to the evening time knowing that you have had a fulfilled day and achievements, and you can go to bed with ease, knowing that you've had a fulfilled day.
Oh, that's good to know, because I find that it's kind of very true. When you've had a very busy, beautiful day, things have been going great, you've done everything you need to do. It's like you hit the bed and you're like, very fulfilling sort of a day. It's the same when, you're out in the mountains or you're going swimming, you're very active during the day. It's like your body is just, rested. You've kind of taken a day off, but you're still going and doing activities. Then you're like, oh yeah, just like for us here in Alberta, we have the mountains. So that's why I kind of say the mountains, because then some of us will, on the weekend, you'll go to what's called Banff, which is close by, and go for a hike or something, and you're breathing in that mountain air. But really, I think what it is that it's the rejuvenation of just the fresh air.
Nature.
And you're taking yourself out of your usual environment, and it's exciting, and it's something, you don't normally do. And because of all the excitement that builds up during the day and the time you're out there, I mean, you're on your feet probably the whole day. Then you get home, probably have a good, decent meal because you're hungry from hiking. And then, you maybe shower or whatever. And then you hit the bed because you're like, I'm just done.
No, I love that you mentioned walking out in the mountains. And I used to do a lot of hiking back in the day, but you hit a very important point as well, where we're spending far too much time indoors. You know, back in the day, I always like to go back to the time we were in caves, right? I mean, we had far less, you know, it was such a simple life back then, you know, but sunshine is the ultimate cue for this biological rhythm that I was talking about. But the daylight has so many different light colors in daylight, and each of the light spectrum has so many good qualities in it. Like there's the infrared. This is very good for, we have these mitochondria in our cells, in every single cell. And the mitochondria, what they are, they're like powerhouses. They run all our cells. And if your mitochondria isn't working, then that's going to be a problem with your cell. And we need all our cells to work. So mitochondria gets a lot of its energy from the infrared light that comes from the sunshine. So we need the sunshine for that. We also need sunshine for our vitamin D, because it gets made on our skin, right? And we need vitamin D for sleep as well, because we have D receptors in our sleep centers in our brain. So we actually need vitamin D for that as well. It's known for bone health, for our immune system, all that as well. And it is. We also need daylight for our cortisol and our melatonin, our inflammation, for those two hormones run on a rhythm as well. So daylight is so important on so many levels. And again, it's a massive cue. It's the biggest cue for our biology, our circadian rhythm, that everything in our body works. And when we're in alignment with this biology, everything just works better, even our sleep.
Yeah, thank goodness, right? Well, it is interesting to think of, you know, like you say, you go back to the caveman days. Well, just thinking of that, you know, it's even the same with going out with talking about the sun, being in the sunlight all day. Well, people are like, well, it's so bad to be in the sun, but they were in the sun pretty much all day, but they knew if it was too hot, then they would obviously go inside. Like there was a natural rhythm of going, yeah, this is too much. And then they'd hit the Cape, which I'm sure was pretty cool back then. Nice air conditioning for sure. But yeah, and just following the daylight schedule, because they didn't really have clocks. I mean, they probably had the, what do you call those?
The sundials.
The sundials. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's the rock with the.
Yeah. You're right about sunburn, though. That's something that we do have to watch. But you know, we have a lot of countries still have that siesta, and that's when the sun is at its highest point, and especially along the equator, that's where the sun is strongest. So yeah, we do need to use sunscreen, but the problem is we're like afraid of the sun, and we've been taught and we've been conditioned to put the sun cream on, and you know, but we do need sun, and we can actually build up what's called like a callus. So we can get early morning sunshine and build up a callus for the sun. That doesn't mean it's okay to go out in the height of the sun, and we've got to watch the UV index and all that. We've got to be practical as well.
Of course.
But there are safe times to go out in the sun.
I'm not saying everyone go out there and become a piece of crispy bacon. Like, no. Like, to be careful out there, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're building up the immune and everything, but it's interesting. So yeah. And then you said, speaking of different countries, you know, Mexico, for example, because they do have their heat in the middle of the day. So they're working in the morning earlier, and then they come back, and then they're sleeping in the afternoon, and then going back out in the evening to work again. I mean, wouldn't that mess up a sleep schedule, or is it because culturally wise they built it? Like, how would you explain something like that real quick?
Well, it makes sense. And, you know, we have been doing this for a long time. So the Industrial Revolution, right, in the early 1900s, we had the Industrial Revolution, and that's when a lot of things changed. And that's when people start working in factories and 9-to-5 jobs and what have you, and the kids start going to school so that their parents could go to the factories and work and what have you. And then we had the invention of the light bulb, and now we could extend staying up longer because now we had the light bulb. And so understanding this as well. And then we have this natural dip. There's two times in this 24 cycle, the circadian rhythm, where we do have this natural kind of lapse in energy, if you like. And that's 2 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so if you're a night owl, you may find that you just cannot stay up any longer than 2 a.m. in the morning. It's just, because that's a natural time the body is. So we have like sleep drive and the circadian rhythm. So when these two things work together, and we have the chronotype as well. So you mentioned that you were a night owl. So taking that into account as well. And our chronotype changes as we age as well. So for example, teenagers are night owls when they're teenagers, and when you're older, like 70, 80, you could be a morning lark. It could change, right? So we do have these two natural dips in the day, as you said, in the 24-hour cycle. So this siesta that you're talking about, and especially in the hot, because we originated all those thousands of years ago along the equator, and in the afternoon around that time, it's typically very, very hot and too hot to work. So we'd have this afternoon nap, and it was the ideal time. It was like nature set it up so perfectly for us, right? So it is actually very natural. And even it's okay to have a nap during the daytime, but it's also okay to have like a 1 or 2 hour sleep in the afternoon, early afternoon. That's like a full cycle. A full cycle is about 90 minutes, right? And it's okay to have a full cycle, because we used to sleep biphasically back around, before the Industrial Revolution. And when that came about, when we start working in factories, now we had to work 9 to 5. So now we didn't take so much of those naps in the afternoon. So that's kind of how history and how it has evolved. We're a sleeping schedule, if you like. And even to this day, in hot countries, we still have that siesta.
Interesting, because it kind of really explains that 2 o'clock hitting the wall, or the 3 p.m. hitting the wall, is because that's exactly what's happening. Is now your body's like, and probably when you're working a 9 to 5, because you may not, like in an office or something, because you're not moving around, your body is just kind of sitting there in a resting state. So it's going to go, oh, okay, well, I'm ready for bed now. So office buildings, if you guys are listening, y'all should put in like a nap schedule.
100%, absolutely.
Right?
And here's the thing as well.
I think Sweden actually does. I think Sweden actually does something similar to that, where they can have like naps at the office or something. So they're smart.
Well, we were never designed to work 9 to 5, like constantly. And I remember when I was working in corporate, if I was cut slacking off, I mean, you were told off, like, and I was very good. But
like, I have to run out and get coffee. I'll be back in an hour and a half.
Missing in the loo. I was so tired. I used to go missing in the loos. I was like, I really needed a nap, and then would been a single mom on top of that as well. But here's the biology part, right? We operate in peaks of activity and rest, right? We have to move, right? We can't be resting all the time, but we have to rest as well. So it's this timing thing again, right? Mm-hmm. And it was discovered in our sleep cycles. We sleep in 90-minute cycles at nighttime, but this cycle is we also have it during the daytime. Now, we're not sleeping during the daytime, but this cycle is the opposite. So this cycle is a basic activity and rest cycle. It's called BRAC, B-R-A-C, basic rest and activity cycle. So for every 90 minutes, right, we're mostly active, but at the end of 90 minutes, we have to take a little break. Now, that little break, I call them like recovery snacks. It could be standing up, stretch, right? It could be drinking your water. Yeah, recovery snacks. And but have you ever found, Cari, that if you're doing something and you're focused on something for 3 hours straight, at the end of that 3 hours, you're just wiped,
mentally drained, and you're like, I didn't even do anything. I just sat there. But your mental capacity is just overloaded, because you're just thinking. So yeah,
recovery snacks can help to sustain and extend that energy and make it more sustainable.
Everybody, Joanne says recovery snacks. Go get them.
Sweet recovery snacks. I said.
That's hilarious. Okay, we're gonna wrap up in about 10 minutes. So what are some other things that you wanted to go into as well? Your book or the system? What would you like to kind of go into a little bit more?
Yeah, so I'll talk. So my book, How to Get a Good Night's Sleep, that was the first book that I wrote on sleep, and it's packed with everything from anxiety, depression. It's often misdiagnosed. Now, I'm not a medical doctor or anything like that, but when you're tired and exhausted, it does affect those areas of anxiety and depression. It is in those same, was it Russell? I can't remember his name now, but he talks about this, about anxiety and depression. It's very much related. It's in the same sleep center. So anxiety, depression, very, very big to understand if you're, and a lot of people with anxiety, depression often have problems with sleeping as well, sleep deprived or insomniacs or that kind of thing. But that book covers stuff to do with hormones, menopause, all that. So go out and have a look at it. It's packed with information. But just to touch on the sleep success system, because that evolved later, and this is really important. I've done an awful lot of work on the sleep success system. It's 5 steps. I'll give you a very quick overview. So it's an acronym for sleep. S is for self. We gotta understand our relationship with ourselves, our beliefs, our thoughts, our attitudes towards sleep, towards rest and recovery. An awful lot. There's an ideation out there. I'll rest when I'm dead, or I'll catch up on the weekends, or if I'm seen taking a break, I'll be seen as lazy. And society tends to glorify the hustle and not taking breaks and what have you, and that needs to stop, because those little recovery snacks that I was talking about, taking care of our energy, is what's going to have us sustain our energy for longer, but also to show up better. And that's in terms of relationships, how we relate to people. We're social creatures. We absolutely need to relate to people, but also our executive function, our impulsiveness, our reaction. We were talking about, having a go at our loved one or whatever, just snapping at them. This is because our brain is not coordinating, our emotional brain and our executive, it's not talking to each other. So all of this stuff. So it's really important that we understand our relationship with sleep and create a new relationship with sleep. L is for lifestyle. So understanding movement, nutrition, because this supports our body, our circadian, when to eat, timing of eating, movement, things that we can do during the day to keep our brain sharp. So all these things like eye coordination, lots of stuff in there with lifestyle. And then we talk about environment. So that's SLE. E is for environment. What are you surrounding yourself with? We talk about the bedroom, first of all. Obviously, that has to be a sleep haven, cool, dark, quiet, all those things. Nice bed sheets, nice, really good mattress. This is your sleep equipment. But also during the daytime, do you have clutter in your work environment? Because that's a stress in and of itself, right? So we need to reduce all the stress loads. In an environment, we also need to reduce all our toxins in our air, food, and water as well. And they're the 3 primary things that we need to survive. So looking at all that. So there's a lot of environment. The next step is, it's another E, and that's for energy. And that's all about our rhythms. It's all about our circadian rhythm, our ultradian rhythm. I talked about the BRAC cycle, basic rest and activity. It's all about our monthly rhythms, our seasons, and our body does align to all of this. And when we align to our biology, then everything is working so much better. And this is where performance stems from. Then we talk about P, which is prioritizing our progress. Sorry, it's our progress. So now that we have those 4 steps, S, L, E, and E, when we have those 4 steps, it's not everything's perfect. We're still going to have things happen in our life. We're still going to have those little road bumps. So the last step, progress, is all about building resilience and knowing when to identify these adversities that show up and how to be more resilient and to get back on track, because that's very, very important. That's part of life. So that's the 5 steps in the sleep success system. And there's so much. I do a 12-week program. I do one-to-one coaching that encompasses all of that as well. So there's a lot to look at, but a lot of it is very practical, and it's a lot to do with alignment, of our, and so much more. But it's fascinating.
That is cool. It's very interesting how the acronym kind of works. But P could also be prioritizing. What are you prioritizing out of things during the day, and are you prioritizing yourself as well? Because again, like you said, if we're consistently putting into others all the time, like you said, you're working a 9 to 5 and you're working for someone else, and they expect something of you and you're trying to fulfill that expectation, it can be a lot. So at the end of the day, you said, being a single mother, are you prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your sleep at the end of the day to wake up and be able to, be able to prioritize yourself the next day. And then also, those expectations of just, I think we're a go society. And yeah, you said like, oh, the hustle's like, it's such a grand thing, but I'm finding more and more now that I think people are stepping outside of the 9 to 5 if they are that type of a personality, and going, they are prioritizing that, the time for the rest, and then the time to be able to go, okay, this is the work time, and so on and so forth. I myself am very like that. I am not a 9 to 5 type of person. I can put in my own hours, and because I'm an entrepreneur, and build my own timeline. So then I can have days, either complete days off, or if I want to take hours off and go, okay, this is my time, and go and spend time outside, or, just some downtime, then I can do that, which is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
But it isn't for everyone. Some people do have to have somebody above them to prioritize and get them going, hey, like, because they need the leadership of somebody else above them to help them be progressive during the day. So, but that's very interesting. So thank you for coming on and sharing all that. So where can everybody find books, or, if they want to maybe have a session with you? Do you offer some counseling sessions, that kind of stuff? Just give us that little bit of information, and then we'll close up.
Brilliant. Yeah. So people can find me on JohannCallaghan.com, JOHANN. That's how I spell my name. Long story. But even if you Google me, Johann Callaghan, loads of stuff. The great thing about that is I don't think there's any other Johann Callaghan out there. So I pop up. So all my videos and what have you. I have a YouTube channel, lots of free content there as well. But if you do want to have a one-to-one with me, I do offer a 15-minute free sleep strategy session. So you'll get that on my website as well. It's all there on JohannCallaghan.com, and social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. That's you'll find me there as well on Johann Callaghan.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much for coming on and sharing all of the information about sleep and sleep expertise and what's going on. Kids, do your homework, but if you have any questions, please contact Joanne and make sure that you've got some questions ready for her, and she'll by all means answer them for you. So thank you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that so much. And I guess you're going into your evening now?
Yes, we're just about to have dinner. My daughter's inside cooking for me. So yeah,
there
she's a well-trained to cook.
There you go. Well, you have a good evening over there. And the rest of us, we will be hitting the bed soon over on our side of the world as well. So good evening to you, and good evening to our folks here soon. With that, thank you so much, Joanne. Well, there we have it, guys. Okay, season 12, completely, finally done. Now that one can go and take a rest. See how that worked out just perfectly right there. With that, everyone, I hope you guys do have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy. Get some well-needed sleep for the weekend. Have fun. Get out there in the sun. I know it's been about like a little cloudy lately, but get out there. Have some fun. Go hiking. Do the things because, in August, we're hitting the colder time is coming. I don't want to say it, but yeah, go and enjoy. With that, everyone, have a great rest of your weekend. Make sure you guys stay connected.